Hello and welcome back to another development log. Now before we dive in, I just want to mention a couple of things. Firstly, I have moved into a brand new office and that is why there might be a slight echo on this voiceover. There's nothing on the walls, thankfully there's carpet, but yeah, so it's going to be a bit echoey, at least for this video. Hopefully for the next one it'll be fixed. Secondly, I want to show off some amazing concept art by Caitlin for the space game, which we're going to be talking about today. It's super exciting to get a feel of how the game is going to look, and I can't wait to show off more art in the coming weeks. Now, this one is going to be a bit of a short one, as I'm going to treat it as almost like a 2-episode problem. The reason for this is because I've had about 2 weeks off game development, as I've recently moved house, like I said, started a part-time job, and started university as well. So I've been very busy, but I'm hoping that both parts of these videos showcase how much taking a step back can really help with design problems. So in the first part of this 2-part problem, I want to outline the issue that I'm going to be trying to address. And hopefully by the end of it, I have a good, solid answer of whether or not I have succeeded. So if you watched the past couple videos, you'll know that I've been having a bit of an issue with crew cards. So crew cards, which were initially called lackey cards, have been sort of an outcast of almost all of the plays of my new space game. Crew cards are supposed to be an elective way to help you succeed in the long run of a game. However, in almost every game, they are ignored, despite often giving really ideal benefits. So I decided to take a step back from my own design for a moment, and I did something which I never usually do. I looked at another game for inspiration. Parks, a worker placement game, essentially has a near enough identical secondary elective mechanism to crew cards called gear cards. With that in mind, I laid them out on my desk and I outlined every different type of reward that they give for having them. So then I could tailor make my crew cards to be of a similar reward structure, hoping that I could mimic the usage that gear cards have in Parks. This led to me creating a bunch of different crew cards, with initial incentives depending on which planet you land on, coupled with a unique ability that you can use once per round. Here are the results of playtesting those cards. And also, what did you think of the new crew cards, guys?
My main gripe with them is I didn't really use. I used the one that I got at the start. I didn't invest in it.
Do you think they're too expensive?
I don't know if it's too expensive. I feel like there's no point in the game where I need to buy them.
Yeah. I mean,
I'd rather just I'm always just focusing on trying to move.
Yeah.
Why don't you just give one away at the start of each turn? Like
I might make it into like a resource on the dice, maybe then. Now, as you can see, the crew cards again were rarely used, and the only time they were used for the most part is on very specific occasions. And it was due to the fact that each player was given one of these cards at the beginning of the game as well, so they were never even eager to get more, which was the real issue. The reason why I'm so adamant that crew cards should be in the game is that I want players to feel like they have the choice between using ship abilities and buying crew cards, with either outcome having benefits and drawbacks. Without crew cards being used, it always feels like there are decisions to be made, but none really relating to how you will spend your metal. Now, after listening to the compound effect on Audible whilst delivering pizzas, I thought that a good idea for the next iteration is to make most crew cards have an incredible initial benefit, coupled with a passive benefit as well. This is because in the compound effect, the author talks about how the vast majority of people gravitate towards short-term benefits rather than long-term. With crew cards from the beginning, they were all about making your game better long-term, so I decided to try out making them super good short-term. Here are the results from a couple playtests. Before we went into my game, however, me and Scott playtested his game called City Zero. He's got a studio called Whitefire Studios, and if you want to check out his development logs, I will leave a link to them in the description. But like in terms of the turn to turn like gameplay, were you like enjoying thinking about like where to go, like looking at your hand, trying to plan where to go and stuff like that?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Okay. Was there any point where you felt like you wanted to do something but like you couldn't because the game wouldn't allow you?
Not really.
Okay.
I feel like I didn't really care about the dice that much, to be honest. That's one thing.
Was that maybe because of the abundance of resources that you ended up having? Okay.
Yeah, because I didn't go to certain planets at all for what dice they had on offer.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah.
I went purely because my cards told me to.
Yeah, because
I could go to any of them.
That's interesting as well, actually, because one of the main sort of like goals which I had when I was designing the game to begin with is that I wanted there to be a constant choice of whether to go and complete cards or whether to go and get resources, especially when resources are being taken up and you only have like one dice. Or there'll be like the risk of only having one dice if you don't go there like right now. So it's actually, yeah, it's interesting that you say that you weren't really that bothered about which planets you wanted to go to. I think one of the ways that I might be able to fix that is literally, especially with fuel, because fuel's sort of like the main resource. Like without fuel, you wouldn't be able to do the main part of the game. Is to take it away from almost all planets apart from Venus and Saturn. Like, not have it on Uranus, Neptune, Mercury, or like Earth at all. And so now, as you can see from that playtest, we didn't really cover the crew cards at all, really. The main focus for Scott was the dice. Now, that's really interesting. That's probably something I'm also going to cover in the next development log as well, because the dice and the crew cards, in my opinion, sort of go hand in hand. Like, if resources are harder to get, then people are more likely to use crew cards. So that'll be an interesting thing for the next development log. But yeah, I just wanted to explain why we're talking about dice and not just crew cards. I think crew cards only need a little bit of tweaking, to be honest. I'm not too
Yeah,
sure
they're alright.
Yeah, get rid of the planets points, and maybe rework the individual personal bonuses. Maybe so that it's a thing that you can be counted at the end of the game, like just like a secret goal card.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Like,
I will admit, remembering I had all these as well, I honestly just forgot. Like, I
Yeah.
probably missed quite a few points because I didn't do it, but
yeah, fair enough.
oh well.
Okay, fair enough. It was an interesting one, that's for sure. Now, clearly they weren't really too good. Everyone had loads of crew cards this time, which is great. They really wanted them, but they ended up getting like tens of fuel tokens. So many fuel tokens, in fact, that I had to create more fuel tokens in the game. Now, a resource management game where resources are in abundance isn't fun. So that's where I left the game, whilst I got on to moving and starting university. As of recording, I have loads of ideas to try out, which I think could be the way to unlocking the crew card's potential. And hopefully in a week or two, I will be back with an answer for you guys. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!